Our lives are laid out on a road of bumps, turns, struggles, and more. How do we respond? How do we endure adversity for learning and growth? I'm Aubrey Johnson, and we'll explore these questions and more on the Road to Rediscovery. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special year-end reflection episode of the Road to Rediscovery. I'm your host, Aubrey Johnson. The Road to Rediscovery is about reflecting on life lessons to learn and grow from them, and of course, pay it forward and help others who are struggling through dark times. I hope everyone had a great holiday season. And I know we're still in the midst of things, but I hope it continues to be great. Now, as we all know, we are near the end of 2022. With Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all lined up, I've always felt like the last few weeks of the year should be used for enjoying with family, or decompressing and re-energizing yourself for the upcoming year. Now, I realize most of us don't have that luxury. I know I don't. But I try to take that opportunity at least a few days during that time. But with that said, admittedly, it kind of makes me feel like a hypocrite because a lot of times I go around and I coach and talk about the importance of finishing strong, right, in all things. At the same time, I also feel that I've worked hard all year to earn a few days in December to decompress and recharge. At any rate, I always find time to reflect on the events of the closing year, and then I ask myself, what lesson have I learned from at least one of those events? Now, everyone goes through different things in different times of the year, but I truly feel that I'm fortunate in that both my personal and professional lives are aligned, where my busiest times are the first 9 months of the year. And with that said, I hope I don't jinx anything for the new year. But like I said before, at the end of each year, I think back to as many events from the year that I can remember. And so here is a recap at a high level that comes top of mind. In 2022, I opened the year attending my son's last college bowl game in Orlando, Florida. That was on New Year's Day. And then I had to fly up to Cincinnati, my hometown, to attend the funeral of my aunt, who passed in April. From May to October, I had the privilege of co-emceeing a summer concert series the first Saturday of each month in the great city of Van Alstyne, Texas, just north of where I live. In June, I flew to St. Louis to help my son and his wife move back to northern Kentucky. My son got a transfer in his job, and everyone was happy that they're moving closer to home. And then in July, my beautiful grandson Griffin was born, and that just opened up a whole new world for me as a new grandfather. The end of the year capped off with several business trips for training, leadership development, and that sort of thing. So what have I learned from one or more of these events? Well, I got to tell you, my biggest lesson comes from the events that involve the start of life, my grandson, and the end of life, my aunt. For the start of life, this is my first time getting to meet my first grandson as he came into the world. I mean, think about it. As a first parent or a first grandparent, how do you introduce yourself, right? Well, I gave it my best shot. And even though I live several states and almost 1,000 miles away, I try to connect with him every chance I get. For the end of life, the last time I saw and talked with my aunt was Christmas of 2021, not knowing that it would be the last time I would see or speak to her. She was the type of person who values her privacy and preferred to live alone, but was always up for an occasional phone call, which I would try to make. From both events, I've learned that I need to make the best effort I can, the absolute best effort I can in keeping close connections with my family, especially from almost 1,000 miles away. And I can't take today for granted in which I don't call or connect. I can't just write it off and assume that, oh, I'll call them tomorrow or I'll talk with them tomorrow. Because quite frankly, tomorrow is never promised to us, right? We need to make the best of what we can control and do today. And while tomorrow isn't promised, at least I can still aspire to improve my efforts to connect with my family more frequently in 2023, which is what I intend to do. Draw connections closer. Be more frequent and intentional. So that's what I've learned. I'll be back with our 3 for the road questions. Okay, so we're back with 3 for the road. This is where I ask 3 random yet thought-provoking questions, and I will give my answers to these questions as they apply to me, and I invite you to share your answers or responses to these questions by shooting me an email at roadtorediscoverypodcast@gmail.com. So here are the questions. Number 1, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's a great question. Well, professionally, I see myself in a different role than what I'm doing now. I see a promotion. I see myself with the same company. I don't plan on leaving this company. I see myself personally a healthier version of who I am today, a more secure and content person than I am today, and hopefully wiser from those 5 years. I'd like to say I would be more refined because I will be pushing 60 in 5 years. It's so strange to realize that now. All right, question number 2. If you could go back in time to change one thing, what would it be? Well, let's see. I would have to say, and my wife knows this, I would change the year off that I took after graduating from high school. For a long time, I have beaten myself up over taking that year off after high school, doing virtually nothing, still working part-time, but really not making an effort to grow or get a better job or go to school. When they say gap year, the gap year must be used, I feel, in an educational or enlightenment type of way for your personal growth and development. I did not do that during my, quote, gap year. I just gave myself that year off, and then in 87, which I graduated in 86, in 87, then I realized, okay, I better get serious. I wish I got serious in the fall after I graduated from high school and not wait a whole year. So that is what I would change. Big reflection for me. Okay, and question number 3. If you could share a meal with any 4 individuals, living or dead, who would they be? That is a great question. I would share a meal with, oh man, I mean, there's so many people. I would have to say my mother, my father, and my great-grandmother, my father's grandmother, and my sister Tanya. Those would be the 4 people that I would share a meal with. That is our 3 for the road. Again, I encourage you to share with us what your answers to these questions are by just sending me an email at roadtorediscoverypodcast@gmail.com. Well, there you have it, everyone. As we wrap up 2022, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I thought this would be the year that we would reach our bicentennial, our 200th episode. But as this very episode is our 186th, it looks like we'll celebrate the 200th in the coming year. And I hope you are with me on the road as we celebrate that 200th when it comes. Also want to remind you that we have more absolutely extraordinary guests lined up for you with amazing stories of overcoming major challenges and incredible insights that may help you on your journeys. In closing, I want to thank you all for your ears, your time, and your great feedback. Really appreciate the feedback coming through the emails from all the listeners. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have had you on the road with me this year, and I hope you stick around for more exciting things coming next year. Thanks again for listening, everyone. God bless you. I love you all. And for you, I hope and pray for a wonderful holiday season and a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2023. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of The Road to Rediscovery. We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email at roadtorediscoverypodcast@gmail.com and leave us any questions or comments you may have. The Road to Rediscovery is an AJ Shark production.